welcome back to the Gold Coast Titans Frontline Podcast. We are your weekly dose of absolutely everything Titans, and our aim is to capture everything for you around our club in the one spot each week. I'm joined every week by my co-host Blaze from BKRsport, this time still down there in Newcastle, mate. How has the life been recently?
Not great. Great, but not great. It just depends on how you look at life. It's how you just think about life, whether you look at one thing or you look at the other thing. Because if you're looking at the travel side of things, yeah, it's amazing. You actually lied to the viewers just then. Do you feel proud of yourself?
How did I lie?
Because I'm actually in Port Macquarie right now. I'm not in Newcastle.
Okay.
So I decided to start the old drive back up. And, I'm in Port Macquarie. I was in Newcastle for the last 2 days. Or 3 days or so. Coffs Harbour on Saturday, Sunday, Newcastle, Monday, Newcastle, and then obviously down here at Port Macquarie as well. So I'll be back on the Gold Coast tomorrow. We're filming this on Tuesday, guys. So, but then again, I'm going to go down to Sydney this weekend. So it's just, man, it's travel. But in regards to the team, yeah, really, really bad. Yeah, no, not having fun in regards to the result there. But we will talk in depth about that one today, sir.
100%, man. And I feel like it's kind of like every week it feels like you and I are fronting up on the podcast, even though we don't really bear too much of an influence, you'd have to say, on the overall result. Like certainly you going to every game, creating an atmosphere and cheering helps to some extent. But man, it just feels like we're always fronting up, which is unfortunate there. Guys, if you are new here, please consider subscribing or liking on YouTube and following and giving 5 stars wherever you listen to on your podcast. Also, follow the Frontline on Instagram and join our Facebook group. By doing all those things, you help our community grow. And our first segment every week is the Titans news. So here's all the Titans news for this week. Dave Fafita and Philip Sami, they are unavailable for this final round. Both will undergo ankle surgeries, but they will be back for the 2025 preseason, so not too much there. This one I do want to get your thoughts on. The Gold Coast Titans and the Ipswich Jets have extended their partnership until the end of 2026, mate. I'm pretty excited by this news. How does it find you?
Fire it up. I thought there was more to that sentence. But yeah, no, I think it's great that obviously we can continue to place our players there. Again, to remind everybody, they are not our feeder club. They are the Roosters feeder club, but they are a development club for us where we can place, players like Arama Howe, who you've seen this week, and we'll talk about in a second. You're seeing guys like, Tanner Boyd's playing there, and I think Lofty plays there if he was to go down. I think he played there a couple of times this year, actually, at the beginning part of the year when he had to, play a couple of Resi's games. But overall, it's really good for us because since they had that, I saw this stat today, since they had their coach change, they've actually won 6 of their last 7 games or something like that. Is that true?
I think it was 5 of the last 7 I read, but either way, that's miraculous from where, they didn't win a game in the 2 seasons before we joined them. So to win 5 of the last 7 is, it's an increase that you can't really put into words. It's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we have Tweed, which is great, and we'll never lose Tweed. And then you've got, Tweed are loyal, and that's why we love Tweed. Tweed Seagulls are extremely loyal, but we need to have another club because we can't just. I think that the maximum amount of players you can place into one Host Plus Cup feeder club is 10. And obviously, we've got more guys than just the 10. So we split them up between Tweed and Ipswich. So, this is awesome. And hopefully next year we fire it up. But, I just want to say to the Roosters fans, don't claim the success of this Ipswich Jets team because the Roosters do nothing for this club. Again, I've said this and we've both said this all season long. The Roosters do absolutely nothing for the Ipswich Jets on a public level. We don't know anything about what they do there. So I will absolutely say the Titans can claim all the success of the Jets if they have a really improved season next year.
Completely agree, mate. These next 3 things we'll speak about are rumours or reports. Then none of these are officially confirmed. I'll say all 3 and then jump in where you please. It's reported Seth Nicotimo will depart our club at the end of this year and sign with Wakefield Trinity in the Super League. It's reported the Eels approached Tommy Weaver, but he did want to remain on the Gold Coast. And it's also reported we've told Tanner Boyd he's free to explore his options at rival clubs. And if he can secure a deal elsewhere, then we would release him. Where do you want to start on those 3 stories?
Yeah, look, it's sad that, we are losing Seth Nicotemo. He does love the Gold Coast. He's a Gold Coast boy. He loves it, man. And I was talking to him. I said, I wish you nothing but the best in your opportunity. It was the best opportunity for him. I guess this is what Arama Howe did as well originally. Went over to, what was the team? It was not the Super League. It was
Featherstone Rovers, I think.
Yeah, second division in the English League. And Ramahow went over there, improved himself, came back, has been playing with the Jets all season long, and then now obviously gets his debut for the club. So, it's really good to see that Seth is taking a similar stance and trying to put himself into the best opportunity going forward, which, I wish nothing but the best for him. He's a great bloke and very funny character. There was actually some rumours about him going to the Cronulla Sharks, and we're getting into him saying up, and he's like, I'm not going to the Sharks. I'm not going. I'm not going. But yes, best of luck to him over there. In regards to Tom Weaver, look, I've heard this all season long. I heard Tanner Boyd was approached by the Eels, which wasn't true. So I don't know if this is even true. It could be true. If it is, we'll see how it goes. But they've still got Moses. Unless they're losing Moses, then Tommy Weaver would just be going from the Gold Coast, where he loves, to Parramatta, where he's still behind somebody. And I just don't feel like that'd be worthwhile. But then again, if it's best for Tommy, I guess so. But again, that's just a rumor. In regards to Tanner Boyd, I love this man. He's an unbelievable bloke, but I know he loves the Gold Coast. So, yeah, look, they're all rumors. Well, definitely the Tanner Boyd and Tom Weaver ones are. So that's kind of, it is what it is. We can't really talk too much about it because they are just rumors.
And as I understand it, the Eels will actually sign Dean Hawkins, who plays for the Rabbitohs. His management have basically said he won't be at the Bunnies next year. I believe that's because he will sign for the Eels, where he'll be the backup for them. And as for Tanner Boyd, I'd actually be sad to see him go because I feel like, one, when he did come in at later stages in the season, he was playing really good at 6. And two, he does have a skills, or he does have elements of his game that still suit halfback, in particular his kicking game and the way he was steering the side around the park last year. So, Kieran Foran will likely retire, I would guess, at this stage at the end of next season, which then reopens the door for Tanner Boyd to come in and be the dominant number 7, which we're not sure at the moment.
I don't want this club to put themselves into a sticky wicket regarding the end of next season unless we're going for a big signing in that halfback. Obviously, the likes of Sammy Walker are free. We're not free to talk yet, but he is exploring his options. So, there is that option. But he also just did his ACL. So I don't know how many teams are going to be willing to risk too big of a pay packet on that at the moment. But the only reason that I could see, like Tommy Weaver or Tanner Boyd looking elsewhere, is if we are planning to go for a big splash. Because otherwise, the halfback role does open up. But I will also say that by that time, we might start seeing Zane Harrison, who's been crushing it at the lower levels and, will have played for Tweed and will be starting to move on through. Does Desi go with a completely rookie halfback, though, straight up? I don't think so. With that being said, Zane Harrison's name comes around, and those two guys we just mentioned will be there. So, there's two options the Titans can take. Next year, we followed last year. Do they go with, Tommy, Tanner, or Zane, or do they go and try and make that big splash?
Well, I'm just going to throw it out here. The last time a young, promising halfback from Queensland was debuted by Des Hasler, it was in 2011. His name was Daly Cherry Evans, and he won the premiership with him in his first season. So, Zane Harrison, no pressure, but pressure. No, I'm only joking there. Mate, we don't have to talk about this one too much, and if you don't want to dive into it, that's fine. But I want to ask the question, and this is kind of, this delves into opinion as well as news. Is the media team right now aligned with the current fan base? Because we are putting out headlines like 2 Titans return in a quest to conquer the Knights and party poopers, Titans offering no favours to the Knights finals hopes. And unless I've missed something, mate, we have not won a minute of football since our win over the Broncos, which was exactly 1 month ago. I don't feel like they're the right headlines we should be putting out as a club right now because it's only going to come back to bite us. Do you want to talk about it, mate, or do you want to gloss over it?
No, look, I think that there is, like, it's a difficult one to talk about because obviously, the club can only do as much as they can in regards to trying to create some hype and try to create some kind of, support behind, this struggling year. But with that being said, yes, you would kind of like to see a bit of a different mentality in regards to, it's not fun at the moment. And I don't think that anybody kind of will see it for fun. They'll be like, oh, come on, man. Like, what's this? So, look, overall, man, it's a difficult one to talk about because we are struggling at the back end of the year. But I'm just, I personally think that, and I've always said, I still believe that we have gone away from who we are in regards to the through and through nature, and in regards to the way that we have thought of ourselves for the past 17, 18 odd years. But, that's a conversation for another day. So, look, it's an interesting one. But I just don't know how much fun Titans fans are having right now and are able to buy into that kind of nature that the club's kind of trying to push there.
Exactly right. So there is that, but the double edge or double side of that sword is, you don't want to be completely pessimistic and putting out articles saying we're huge underdogs against the Knights and stuff like that. That doesn't help either. But I think there is like a middle common ground, right? Of like optimism and encouraging people, acknowledging we're underdogs at the moment and encouraging people to get up and support. And to your words, that's what the Through and Through campaign is all about. So, I don't know. I just saw those headlines and
I will say as well, though, in regards to Through and Through, it is there is somewhat, Through and Through represents the true fans, and the true fans like yourself, like myself, like the people listening here, people amongst our community who are there week in, week out, who do watch every single game and are really active amongst the club. That's what that relates to. I feel like I don't know how much necessarily would relate to the casual fans. But with that being said, maybe the casual fans will still look at that and say, well, it is a strong club in regards to the mental resilience of the fans. It is a strong club in regards to the fact that people still do turn up regardless, win, lose, or draw, because you go and have a look at our crowd numbers this year, and people always say Titans have no fans. And granted, some games we did get outnumbered for sure. We definitely did not get outnumbered in the Broncos game, which is crazy considering they usually do. We did have obviously got outnumbered in the Warriors game, which usually does happen. But there's a couple teams there that we didn't get anywhere near as many away fans as we had home fans. So we do have people that have stuck through this club through thick and thin. That is who we are. And that will always be who we are until it's changed. I just feel like we always try to be something that we're not. I always feel like we try to put ourselves into a category with the Panthers and the Roosters and the Storm to kind of force our mentality to be like that, but we're not there just yet. And I feel like we do need to come together as a club and as a community in comparison to looking somewhere else and saying, oh, they do it right, let's do what they do.
Completely love it, mate. If you guys are listening and want to join in on this discussion, comment section is open on YouTube. If you're listening as a podcast player, you'll also find a link there called SpeakPipe. You can leave audio messages for us to react next week, and we'll hear your 2 cents on the matter as well, mate. Let's park our news there and dive into our NRLW recap, where the Sharks defeat us 22 points to 6 at home, so therefore they do remain undefeated this season. I'll kick us off, mate. I'll try to be short and sharp. My critique of this game has been the same of all of our losses this year. We simply did not offer enough in attack. We had 1 line break and 5 offloads. Now, what makes that particularly bad in this game of all is that we didn't complete at a high rate either. It's not like we were playing really conservative footy and kicking to corners and trying to win with our defense. We completed at 67%. So we aren't taking enough risks in attack, and we aren't exactly playing it safe either and trying to complete our sets at a high rate. It's kind of a pick your poison for me. Both have their pros and cons. You pick your poison and you play at that same level with consistency. We see sides that will take the risk and suffer a lower completion rate at the expense of pushing offloads and maybe pushing that past one too many times. And we see other sides that will just want a high completion, kick you to corners, play safe, and eventually suffocate you out of the game. We're doing neither of those at the moment. We're not doing either of them well, and we're floating in between both. And it is horrible to watch as a fan. I'm looking at our last win now, Blaze, against the Roosters, and I'm almost ready to put that down to their 52% completion rate. With hindsight now. I know at the time we felt really good about that win, but I am starting to question it now. I want to try to end on a positive here. So I will say our goal line defense was really strong, all things considered. We did make 90 more tackles than they did, and they also forced 6 forced dropouts. So I will credit our defensive resolve. I thought on our try line we were really good there. Just eventually in the hot conditions of a Saturday midday game, we had to break eventually with that pressure, and unfortunately we did. All in all, super disappointing from here, mate. I'll get your thoughts on the game, and then we'll discuss where we go from here.
Yeah, obviously I was there at this game. It was a warm one. It definitely was hot there. They pushed the game forward from 11:40 to 11 a.m. for that factor. But as I always say, both teams do play in that heat. And unfortunately, we just weren't good enough. I will start off here and say our defense, there's a mixture here. So there's going to be a positive. There's going to be in the middle saying that Casey Badger shouldn't be our bunker referee. And then there also is going to be a negative saying that we just simply weren't good enough, right? So, yeah, look, I will start off with the negative, and I will say that, look, our attack is very, very clunky right now. Whenever we do try to get something going, it usually is down the exact same side every single week. Oh, there's a big bug in front of me, gee whiz. It's usually down the exact same side, which is like we always say, always very tempting. You've got Jamie Chappell, you've got Emily Bass, you've got, Shaylee Bent, that side, and Loz Brown. You always want to go down there. But unfortunately, we do need to mix it up because teams will know how to defend us, which they have been. Unfortunately, Jamie, who, just by the way, we forgot to mention this in the early part, she won what award did she win again?
So she won the People's Choice Award, which is voted by the New South Wales public, and she also won the Sky Blues MVP of the Year award. Yeah. So sorry, I forgot to add that to our news, but congratulations to Jamie there.
Yeah, no, absolutely huge there, huge, and she did have an incredible Origin series despite New South Wales losing. But yeah, look, it hasn't necessarily been on form, and I don't necessarily say that it's just because of her. I think that we do need to diversify, because if we just keep going down that side, and I'm saying it's the same thing about Emily, saying the same thing about Shales and whatnot, who I do actually think Shales has been doing a good job this year, but on the left with Jamie and Emily, unfortunately, they're getting locked down so quickly because we are very one-dimensional in attack, and it is quite repetitive. So the team on the opposition, which are the Sharks, who are the undefeated team in the competition right now, they know how to defend that side. And, sometimes we'll get that individual brilliance from Jamie, or sometimes we'll get, some great try assists there from Loz Brown to Emily Bass, which does get us the try. And Emily Bass does some fantastic work as well. But just because that one-dimensional attack, that we're not going down that Noah Williams-Guthrie side, we're not going down the Georgia Gray side at all, we do need to see that so that we can mix it up a lot more and keep the opposition guessing, which is what I think our biggest struggle has been throughout all of our games this season. And the issue we'll get to it is that actually, no, I'll wait for what we do from here, because it does get really tight in regards to this top four now. In regards to the middle ground, I will say Casey Badger had an absolutely awful game in this game. She made 2 calls that should have been sin bins, and I don't believe, didn't get on report, nothing. There was no anything for the 2 high tackles that we had on our girls, which confuses me, because we saw in the game the next day, or we see in a game that night in the men's and whatnot, where this happens and we say bin, it's been just like that. But yet we had 2 of them in this game at really key areas of the game that, luckily enough, we did receive a penalty for, but it should have been 10 to bin, and it should have been 10 to bin twice. It was, unfortunately, a few poor calls that I do feel like adjusted the momentum of this game and adjusted every facet that took it out of our... Well, it took the advantage out of a situation. I think, obviously we were really the effects of it. The girls were all staying, it was heavy contact out there. So, yeah, look, it's really unfortunate. And I think that although we didn't get the bin, we got the penalty, then it comes down to that negative of not being able to attack despite with that penalty. But if you take away one player from them, we're going to have that hole. We're going to have a better opportunity. So I do really feel disappointed in the officiating this game. But, again, we weren't good enough. The big positive out of this game was our defense for mine was phenomenal. I know that the score was that we got beaten 22-6, but overall, we could have easily been beaten by 50 in this game. We could have easily been beaten by 50, but we just kept finding that defensive resolve, set in, set out. Georgia Hale, 56 tackles, which is, something that it is incredible, but we don't look at as how big it is anymore, because she does this on a consistent nature every single week. So Georgia Hale, absolutely monster effort there that she just keeps on turning up week in, week out in regards to the defense. So, yeah, look, and that goes for the entire team, but 56 tackles is just too big pass up. But you go and have a look at most of the girls realistically. You go and have a look at the defensive nature of it. Evania Polisi, she had 10 tackles, no missed. Georgia Gray, 3 tackles, no missed. Unfortunately, our centers of Chapo and Noah Williams-Guthrie had a few missed tackles, but you're going to get that in those kind of positions. Lauren Brown, 15 tackles, 3 missed. 38 tackles for Shannon Marto, 2 missed. You go through the entire... Lily Rose Colt, 19 tackles for 0 missed. You go through this team, and it just really is impressive with the amount of tackles we're making and not many being missed. So overall, our defense is exactly where we want it to be. But unfortunately, we still have given up. And this is actually a crazy stat. We've still given up 105 points, which is below all the top 4 teams. But the better thing is that we are still above the Eels, Cowboys, Dragons, Raiders, and Tigers on defense.
And plenty of those points came in the one game there, which was the loss to the Broncos. Look, I agree with everything you said. I'll just add one more thing, and that is that Casey Badger was also our bunker official in the grand final last year, who also made a costly decision in that game, which I believe shifted momentum.
That's right.
as well.
Wasn't it a bin? Shouldn't there have been a bin? I can't remember this game now.
I believe it was a captain's challenge that should have
That's
resulted
right.
in our ball, and it went back their way, and it was just
And
it
they
was just
scored
wrong.
immediately.
Yeah,
They scored
and it was
immediately, yeah.
just the wrong call. Look, let's talk about where to from here. I'll throw a few things out. You tell me if you agree or not. I think we need to give Jamie Chapman a rest. Now, she had her quad heavily bandaged in the Blues Origin series, and she got through that and was MVP. But I think she's a little bit from her best at the moment, and I think that's due to injury. Every week you see she's strapped up like a mummy on one of those legs there, and I just wonder if just giving her a week or two off, maybe once Fuimano's back from suspension and putting Talia in the centres there, for example, just to get Chapman back, give her a rest, mate. Would you agree with that or disagree?
Oh, that's a tough one, man, because I think that she is when she's on fire, when she's playing her best footy, she's the best centre in the game and one of the best players in the game. That's why she won the New South Wales Player of the Year. But I don't know if I would have the balls to drop her personally. I don't think I would. And I don't think that Karen Murphy will. I can see where you're coming from, but I just think that star players like that is a massive statement to be, putting her and dropping her for a game, especially when, like what I'll speak about in a second regards to the ladder, especially when every single game from here on out we need to win to make the finals. So that'd be just too big of a risk for mine. I think that I understand where you're coming from, but it's not like our entire team right now. There is a lot of players that you can say aren't exactly in their best of form. And I think that we just hold Jamie at such a high caliber that unfortunately, right now it is, it's difficult to watch the form that we're seeing. But overall, I personally wouldn't, but I understand the thought process.
And I think for Chapo, the discussion that Karen Murphy would have with her is not so much, hey, you're playing crap, you're dropped. It's, hey, you're injured. We need to give you a week or two to get you right because we need you for bigger things come finals. But you do raise a great counterpoint there that she's so important that can we afford to go a game or two without her?
She could turn on at any second. Like she could, this week against the Eels, could go for 3 tries. And then she had a fantastic game opposite against the Tigers when she scored a couple. She made a breakaway. I think she might have scored a hat-trick, actually. It was a game at home. I think it was the Tigers. But anyway, the point about her is that, she can do that. She can just turn up at any stage. So, look, we just got to hope for the best and that she does stop against the Eels. We've got a really tough home game against the Knights the week after in a double header there with the women's. And then we play the Raiders, which realistically we should be beating the Raiders with how they've been playing this year. The Eels, they've got a few players out. The Knights one will be the real big test, to be fair. But, I just feel like that'd be too big of a risk in this important part of the year. But if it was to happen earlier on, maybe. But this is too big of a risk now.
And I guess my next question is, would you consider moving Emily Bass to the other wing and putting Georgia Gray on that left side? I just feel like Bass's defense and errors are a little bit costly at the moment, and maybe defending outside of someone experienced or as experienced as Noah Williams-Guthrie might help her game. Do you think that's too big of a shift, or are you with me on that one?
Man, I think that, that's a really, really tough one because obviously that's a whole different ballgame. When you are switching wings, instead of your peripherals being focused on your right-hand side when you're a left winger, and then when you're right winger, your peripherals facing on the left-hand side, you've got to kind of completely adjust that. And again, I just feel like at this point of the year, it would, like, on what you're saying on its pure basis, then probably I would say that we could mix that up. But also I just feel like it will change a lot of the dynamics of kind of how we have intended to play. Because at the end of the day, we are into, what is it, round 7 coming up? It's around 7? Yep. At the end of the day, we are into round 7 of a 9-round season. I think we're at that point where, we know how we want to play. Unfortunately, we haven't been necessarily playing like that, but just making too many changes at this very moment, which is, it could be costly. It could work out, but, sometimes you've got to risk it to get the biscuit, but also sometimes I don't know. It's a really difficult one to think about.
Yeah, tough. I mean, it's good to hear the pros.
That's why Karen Murphy's our coach and not us, mate.
That's why she gets paid the big bucks to make the big decisions. Look, I had some other notes from this game, mate, but I won't say them. I don't think they're constructive enough, to be absolutely honest. You can see them there as we scroll past. Final point for me, we need a response this week. No if, buts, or maybes, but I think we park NRLW recap there and move to our NRL recap. where the Knights did defeat us 36 points to 14 in Newcastle. We actually spoke post-game, and I told you I'm close to tears just based on how much I care and how much it seems right now that others don't care. And unfortunately, you actually felt the exact same way. I'll let you go first for this one, mate. Break it down for me from your perspective live there in Newcastle.
Yeah, no, I did cry. I'm always comfortable with my emotions. That I put a post up on Instagram with me in tears, and as you guys might have seen in the BKRsport vlog, I did have I was a bit upset after the game, and I will tell you, and I'm not going to tell you the players that it was with, but I can tell you right now that they were broken. They really were upset, and I see these boys every single week, and I will tell you that this was a different vibe, and the boys were very, very disappointed in that one. It was a really harsh atmosphere around the buses post game, which is really unfortunate because obviously, we were coming into this game and it's against a Knights team that aren't that good, but they were still in the hunt for the finals and now have a chance to make the top 8, even though, regardless, they'll get whooped in the finals. But the point is that they're still in the conversation. As I always say, and this is something that Foz actually related to when I was talking to him earlier in the year, it's about being in the conversation, or in our 5 out of 6, spree that we went on. It's about being in the conversation for fans. And this is the biggest issue with what we have right now, is that we are never, unfortunately, in the conversation. You just want to be in the conversation, even if you don't win the entirety of the competition. Look at the Tigers and the Eels right now. Maybe not the Eels, but the Tigers, they're having a ball. They're in last place, but they're having a ball because they've got the conversation of actually being able to win to get into a position that they haven't been in for the last couple of years. That's the conversation of down there, where they're excited because they've been 3 years in a row at that point. But when you come up to what we're talking about, the Titans, we haven't had a winning record since 2010. 2016, we didn't have a winning record, and I don't believe we had a winning record in 2021. We had to rely upon other teams to lose for us to get in. That was the Tigers losing to the Raiders at Leichhardt in 2016, and in 2021, we had to rely on both the Sharks and I think the Raiders. I can't remember, but 2 teams to lose, and then we still had to win by 11 or more points against Warriors. We won 44-0, whatever. Point of the matter is that those years aren't exactly too fantastic to look back upon, especially 2021, we brought up in the next week. But we haven't had a winning record for 14 odd years now. So the point of the matter is that we haven't really been in any conversation for 14 years. And, it's really harsh to, when you go to every game, it's not about me, but it's about seeing all the other Titans fans who, a lot of people, and this isn't really even necessarily about the game right now, so do forgive me, folks, but this is more of a club thing and a fan base thing, is that, a lot of people can't get too many games. I'll go to one game. Actually, I did meet someone who went to this game and said it was their first ever Titans game. And I said, I'm sorry. I wish we could have done better for you because, it really is hard to see our fans struggle so frequently. And I see them week in, week out, and I see all the messages and the comments and the posts and whatnot. It's out of frustration because, it's not like the boys aren't trying. They are trying. Unfortunately, they're checked out right now, but they are trying their heart out. And it's it's just not working out at this current moment. But yeah, it was a really, really disappointing performance there. The boys know that. We know that. The fans know that. And at the end of the day, we just have to go one more time here and take on the Panthers. But, we took on a team in the Knights. It wasn't good enough. The first half was okay. The second half was absolutely pathetic. And there's a reason why people are as upset as they are. And I don't think that anyone should be surprised by that.
No, it's completely fair, man. And I think my first point is to really just focus in on round 22 against the Broncos. You first flagged it with me, and it's so true. That was our grand final. That was the big moment where we put so much competitive drive and intensity into that second half. And unfortunately, I believe that has been absent, since that game in the past 4. We put everything we had into it, and we just haven't been able to replicate that yet. So I'm not sure if I feel sorry for Des because the players haven't turned up for him in that same sense, or if I'm disappointed in Des for not having them mentally ready. But my biggest question mark from this game, it's not so much around how we leak. It's not so much how many points we leak. It's how we leak them and around our current defensive system. Now, I could be completely wrong here. I'm a fan of footy. I'm not a coach. But how I see it, our left side defense of Brian Kelly and Lofiana Khan-Pereira, they are shooting up out of the line and they're trying to shut down the play early, up and in defense. Once the Knights saw this, particularly Kalen Ponga, and with Fletcher Sharp scoring a hat-trick on that side, it was as simple as double pumping or just holding the ball or holding that pass a second longer. And there were times when Brian Kelly and Alofiana Khan-Pereira ended up past the Knights' attacking line. They ran straight through, basically, and it was an open path. So I thought that was strange because the up and in defense, it can be effective. Manly have used it well. Cherry Evans, if you guys watch him in Origin, he always used it on his edges there. But our right side in this one, which was Jojo Fafita and Beau Fermor, they held their line, they slid with the attack, and they allowed the inside defenders to apply that pressure to the ball player, the current person with the ball, before deciding who they would commit to in defense, whether that be the center at the front, the forward running a line, or if it was someone sweeping out the back. My question to that point is, and if I'm seeing it correctly, why are we defending two completely different systems on two different edges? Because what you're saying to the side attacking is, what do you prefer? What do you feel more comfortable attacking? Do you want to have the side that's shooting up and in, or do you want to have the side that slides and maybe you prefer an inside ball to a back rower? Whatever it might be, I just feel in the NRL, you cannot have both edges defending completely different styles. And I haven't seen it from many sides, if I'm absolutely honest. This is one of the first. We have to make a deliberate decision on what our defensive structure is. And there needs to be buy-in from every player. And there has been a lot of buy-in this year, I feel. But there has been individual lapses as well, which has really let us down.
Well, I'm going to jump in there and say in regards to individual lapses, this has been a problem that we've found throughout the entirety of the year. If you go back all the way into the 0-6 area, I was about to say era, but the area of this year before the Warriors game, the complaint that we were having was that our defensive efficiency is actually fantastic. Our defensive efficiency was actually up around the 92%. I think we had the best defensive efficiency in the entirety of the competition, but it was the individual lapses in the key moments that cost us. It wasn't about the collective team effort, which was actually putting in. It was about the individual lapses. And to add on to that, I don't think right now that I do feel like these boys have checked out. I think they have. And I think everybody has, realistically. We all checked out a few weeks ago. So it's going to be a lot more easier to have those individual lapses as we've seen. Like that first try to Kalen Ponga, the gap between JC and David Fafita was gigantic. I saw it like 2 tackles prior nearly, and because that was on the opposite side of the field to me. We're in the corner in the away bay, and I could see that completely open. So Caleb Ponga, the professional rugby league player that won a Dally M last year, he's going to find that. He's going to exploit that immediately. So unfortunately, and look, we have found out that David Fafita has been injured as well, which is why he's gone in for surgery and whatnot. Which has been good to see a lot of reprieve from the fans in regards to Dave and, the fact that he hasn't been necessarily on form. Well, guess what? Probably because he's been injured. That's why he's gone in for surgery. Same thing happened with Brimo, with Phil Sammy and whatnot. So it's good to see the reprieve that our boys are getting because although I defended our fans before and got a bit upset because, I love our fans and our community and whatnot, I also love our boys and I know that these guys do care. They do give a shit. And a lot of people say, oh, these boys don't care. They absolutely damn well do. But there is a difference between not caring and checking out. And the checking out is because the results haven't gone our favour. We can't do anything right now. And unfortunately, we're just thinking, okay, well, let's just get through the back end of the year. I think like that, right? And I know that fans don't want to hear that players think like that, but it's just a part of life. When there's nothing to play for, like there's only so much you can try and really get up and at them. Just like we can only so much get up and at them. So, it's very evident right now that based on what you just said, the individual lapses, we've had that all year, but it's just more evident now because of the fact that we have nothing to play for on a result level.
Yeah, man. Look, I'm going to make a bold call here. You're free to agree or disagree right away. But for me, it is clear Brian Kelly and Alofiana Khan-Pereira cannot remain as a centre and wing combo next year. It's just too much of a defensive liability, and it has been for a long time now. I feel like because Lofi scores so many tries, we turn a blind eye at times to his defense. And I feel like for Brian Kelly, so people pay attention to BK's defense when he has his rocks moments, but then he'll produce those diamonds, and everyone will kind of just sweep it under the rug and forget again. But look, we're one round out from the final regular season game. I've seen enough to make the call. They cannot be defending with each other again this year. And I'd love to see the stats of our left tries conceded versus right. Maybe I'm seeing it wrong. Your initial thoughts on that?
No, I would agree. I would agree. I think that we've gone this entire season now, and unfortunately, and this is the thing, right? Because attacking wise, Loffy is the highest try scorer in the competition, 23 tries, 3 above Felt, who I don't believe is even playing this round, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got that locked up. Tom Young's on 19 or whatever. So the point matter is that he's got all those tries. Obviously, that means that BK has a lot of try assists because he's on his inside. So on the attacking side of things, yeah, look, we don't have a great deal of problems at all. On the defensive side of things, yeah, unfortunately, we do give up a few tries. And these guys are professionals. They understand that we have to critique them. They understand that we have to talk about this when we're not insulting the player. And they know this, and we all know this. We're not insulting the human being behind it, but we do have to analyze the team, because at the end of the day, we want to win a premiership. We want to be in the finals. And the key word here is we want to be in the conversation. And unfortunately, the defensive side of things on that left-hand side has just been, not up to scratch, unfortunately. So, I would agree with you. Maybe, Carter Gordon goes into that centre alongside Loffy next season. I'm not too sure. Or, maybe they do switch BK out on the other side. I know a lot of fans right now aren't a big fan of BK, but also there is, I don't know. I just don't know if that side trusts each other. I don't know if that whole left side trusts each other.
Here's a crazy stat for you, man. BK is 6th in the league for missed tackles overall. There are only 2 other centers that factor into the top 40, those being Dane Gagai and Nick Meaney. And everyone above him is a forward except for Ezra Mam, who has 1 more missed tackle. So this year for backs, Brian Kelly is 1 less missed tackle than the worst in the league. So
just to chuck in there on Ezra Mam, he has missed a few games though, so he would be a lot more as well.
Yeah, that's fair. That is true. He's only played 19. BK's played 22, coming on to his 23rd. But I think that stat is fair there. It does reflect what we're saying here. And for Lofiana Khan-Pereira, maybe if BK wasn't his centre and he did have someone like AJ Brimson, Carter Gordon, Phil Sami, etc., maybe Lofiana Khan-Pereira, as you said, doesn't quite trust BK, and that's why we get the disconnect where they're both either rushing up together. But there's also been times
to be fair to BK, I think both of them don't trust each other and on defense. And of course, their mates, they would trust each other in regards to each other, but I don't think they trust each other defensive capabilities wise.
And the only reason I kind of offer that point of view is, from as I understand it, as not a coach and a fan of the game, I believe as a winger you were told to follow your center. So at least if you're both jamming in, you're a chance to hit the ball down and rather than one jamming and one staying. So that's where I kind of went to with that. Look, let's finish off the game here, mate. I will say what really hurt me the most, we weren't particularly bad in one area. Like, we didn't really finish this game and go, look, here's a positive, like we did for the women. We just got beaten in every single aspect of rugby league, essentially. Like, we just were not good enough. The Knights are statistically the worst attacking side in this competition. They averaged 18 points per game coming into this, and they scored double that in a game where they also missed 3 conversions. So we gave up double their season average. Now, I'm not asking us to be the best defensive side in the league, but can we at least be somewhat on par with the entire season average, not double worse? And I think our attack wasn't much better either, man. I think the group really let themselves down. Certainly, I think individuals let themselves down. And if this sort of thing does repeat into 2025, I don't think Des will have it. There will be a lot of players that, yes, they love the Gold Coast. Yes, we love them as players. They will not have a contract. Des Hasler will reshape this roster. He will tell people you're stuck in reserve grade or you can leave, and he'll bring in the players that he needs to build his vision. So that's how I sum it all up, man.
I'm going to say one positive in a second, but I will just add on here with the defensive side of things. To clarify and show this for everybody, we are exactly where we are defensively. So we are 14th position, which is 4th last, and we've given up 638 points. The teams that are worse than us, Rabbitohs, were 646. Mind you, we played the Panthers this week. They played the Roosters this week. It's ugly potentially for both of us. But with that being said, the Roosters have a couple of big injuries. whilst the Panthers do not, and they're playing for a top 2 spot, a home final. Guys, we could easily finish below the Rabbitohs in regards to our points differential. Obviously, in regards to our defense, but we'd more than likely, I can't see the Rabbitohs beating the Roosters. So surely we finish at least in 4th. But the Eels are on 690 given up, so an extra 50-odd. And same with the Tigers, 690, which is quite funny. They're both defensively at 690 each. But everybody else, right, to say how close, the only team close to us would be the Dragons with 608 points given up. You know, the best teams in the competition are the Panthers on 382 and the Bulldogs on 389. Guys, we're 638 points we've given up. 638. That is over 300 points more given up than the Bulldogs and the it's not over 300, but it's close enough to 300 with the Bulldogs and the and the Panthers, which is absolutely ludicrous. 300 nearly. Like that is stupidity. How is that possible? How is that possible? Now, I will say the positive here is that, and this is going to be a real big yawn fest for a lot of people, at least Desi has had that full year now and will make his adjustments where he feels necessary. You know, you can't judge a coach by 1 year. There's no way right now. Anyone who says sack Desi, people say sack Desi in round 1, you're stupid. And I say that to you. You know, I love this community. But if you're saying sack Desi now, let alone around 1, you're stupid. Because Des Hasler needs more than a year. Because, again, the only signing Des has been able to make so far has been Harley Smith-Shields and re-signed Brian Kelly, which I know a lot of people aren't big fans of. But the fact of the matter is that Harley Smith-Shields has been injured for the majority of this year. But also, we didn't necessarily see him as being that guy. But as you pointed out last week, Des usually is known for kind of bringing in those guys that aren't necessarily known, and they end up being world beaters. So, you know, Harley was having some good games this year and could have easily worked with that system. So, I don't know. I just feel like people need to give Des more of a crack in regards to not just going all in on him after, 26 rounds in the season. Because look at how he's improved Jojo Fafita. Look at what he's done with Keanu Kenny. You know, he's just given Jalen DeGroot. By the way, I haven't even mentioned Jalen DeGroot, who had an absolutely incredible debut. Fantastic debut. Look at what he's done with so many of these guys. Like Chris Randland's been fantastic for the majority of this year. Who have I missed anyone? Jimmy Jolliffe was fantastic whilst before we got injured and has been doing his job now. I don't know. I feel like it's really ridiculous for people to have a crack at Des in regards to a long-term basis based off of the first 26 rounds of his tenure at the club. But if at this point next year, the same shit's happening, well, then sure, I get it. But I'll still have to defend him, but I get it why people would be doing it.
100%. I was just having a look at it, the 2012 and 2014 seasons, man. Like his first year, at 2012 in the Doggies, he let go of 10 players, and he was only able to really sign as a superstar, you would say, James Graham. And in 2014, it was similar as well, but that's when he started to bring in the Josh Reynolds, Hodkinsons from reserve grade, Moses Mbis, etc., who had been showing a lot of promise for a while. So there is, like, as tough as these conversations are to have now, they're going off history and going off what we know with Des Hasler. There are positive changes to come, mate. And speaking of positive things, let's move into our 3-2-1 so we can end our recaps on a high. Let's kick it off with our NRLW girls. I'll go first. My 3 points goes to Ivania Polite. She had a try assist, 171 meters, as you said, 10 tackles for 0 missed and 0 errors as well. I just felt it was a really consistent performance, strong running, strong defense, everything you want from a fullback and more. So she gets my 3 points. Who is going to get your 3 points and then your 2 as well, please?
Yeah, look, I'm going to go Georgia Howell for my 3 points. I think the 56 tackles is just incredible. I really do. I think that it is in the women's game, like she has gotten 18 more tackles more than our next best in Shannon Marto with 38. So I think that absolutely deserves the fact that, again, like I think that our defense has been so crucial in regards to this season, besides that Broncos game, and I guess besides this one. But the scoreline, although it does reflect the game, it wasn't as much of a blowout for the most part until, quite late on. They did score, Anessa Biddle scored the 67th minute with, 3 odd minutes to go. So the scoreline would have looked a lot better. And it was only a 10-point game for the majority of this game. So I'm going to go Georgia Howell with my 3 points. I thought that she was fantastic defensively. 2 points I will go to Ivania Polite. I just think that, again, she is our spark and attack, 171 run meters, line break assist, try assist, 2 tackle breaks, and offload, and 10 tackles made with no miss. So, yeah, she gets my 2 points.
My 2 points goes to Shannon Marto, 163 metres, 38 tackles there. Just a huge stint in the middle. Got momentum in our sets, got us moving like she usually does. Brilliant performance by Shan. And my 1 point goes to Georgia Hale, pretty much for what you said. The 56 tackles is just insane. It's to the point now where, like, I don't think any men made 55 tackles in 80-minute games last week. She's averaging that just about this season. So another incredible game by Georgia. Who gets your 1 point?
I've got to ask you here, is this right in regards to Brittany Bradley-Nutty? It's got her as no running meters through. It's got her. Did she not make a single run?
Look, I don't know for sure, but I certainly don't remember any inspiring scoots from my memory.
Well, yeah, because sometimes the NRL.com is a little bit all over it, but
Yeah.
45 minutes, it doesn't have any attacker stats at all. It just has, like, defensively, she did well with 21 tackles and only the 2 miss. So I'm not really trying to have like a crack here, but I'm just a little bit confused there. Like, I haven't seen that before from a player playing 45. I haven't seen it before where there's not a single run meter or anything like that. So that's quite interesting. But then again, Lily Rose Cole, who does come in as the backup hooker, their second hooker, 14. She only ran for like 27 metres as well. So maybe Karen's telling them not to run from Booker. Maybe she's telling them not to scoot. But yeah, look, I think that in regards to mine, there's only one option, and that is Shannon Marto for the 1 point. As you said, 163 metres, 38 tackles and 2 missed. She was fantastic again. So some great individual performances there. But it is still really lackluster to talk about because obviously the result did not go to plan.
Yeah, and for the NRLW, it has been those 3 most weeks that are getting our points right. Those 3 are our top performers week in, week out. I feel like NRL, like at the start of the year, it was Jimmy a lot of the time, and from then it's been Keanu a lot of the time. But there has been a little bit more of a mixture in amongst it. So I would like to see some of our other NRLW girls land in the 3-2-1s. Let's go over to the NRL, mate, and I will let you start with your 3 points from this game. I bet you I can guess who it will be.
Oh, it's absolutely Jojo Fafita. He was absolutely phenomenal, realistically. Like, there's not much that I can really hound him on. Maybe I can say that he missed 2 tackles from his 5 tackles made, but he was defensively sound. He was safe as under the high ball every time. He was just really, really good underneath it. 2 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, whopping 280 metres with 83 post contact, which is for a winger is really impressive. And then also the 2 tries there that were just really, really good. I can't say much negative about Jojo Fafita. I know that when we get to our end of season awards that we will do here on the podcast, he will be guaranteed. He's not even $1. He's $1. If you put $100 on him to win Most Improved Player award, you get back your money. You don't even get a cent back.
And a firm handshake from one of us at the next game we see you at, of course, which is very, very important there. The only thing I had to Jojo, of course, he's my 3 points as well, was his safety under the high ball, which we know he has been all season. There was no surprise there, but they just kept kicking to him and he just kept coming down with it. So I thought that was an awesome part of his game. My 2 points is going to go to Jalen de Groot on debut. I was really glad he scored because he almost scored a try earlier in the game.
I was close, yeah.
It would have been a great moment. And then he did get the try in the end, which I was personally
That would have been
happy.
right in front of his family, by the way. So we were all in that corner. And his family were on the hillside there. And I tell you what, that would have gone off if he had scored that first try, but obviously wasn't to be, but he was so close.
Oh, just lovely to see, players that we've been reviewing all year in our affiliates recap that we usually do get their chance in the NRL. We get to see it again this week with Arama Howe, which is exciting. The other thing I loved about Jalen's game was he was up and around the footy. He really played his own style of footy. He didn't try to be Campbell, Brimson, or Kinney. He came in and played Jalen footy at fullback, and it was awesome to see. So he gets my 2 points, mate. Is he going to get yours as well?
He's going to get my 2 points. I feel like people need to forgive for that Leo Thompson barge over because I don't believe that's actually – I personally didn't think that was his fault at all. I thought that, look, obviously the tackle was you look at Leo Thompson. You want to make a tackle of him, I guarantee that even Billy Slater and, all these big-time fullbacks would never have wanted to – actually, Billy wouldn't have stopped him. I don't think any fullback stops Leo Thompson in that situation. So we'll defend Jalen there. But outside of that, he was incredible, man. 179 run meters on debut. I did feel like at the very beginning, you could see a little bit of nerves, but I think he really adjusted quite quickly. And I think that he just shows that, we do have the depth here. We do have the talent. And again, you go through our fullback list over the years, man. You got Jerome Hughes, who's originally a fullback. Yeah, Tate Twalpiki, who's at the Warriors, who had a great game on the weekend against the Sharks. You've got AJ Brimo, you've got Jaden Campbell, you've got Keanu Kinney, you got Dream Buller, who was a part of the Titans system, who's a Tigers fullback. Majority of the competition at this point are Titans fullbacks, and Jalen De Groot. I think he's been playing more so on the wing for Ipswich though this year, hasn't he?
Bit of both. He started on the wing, but when we went on that 5 from 7 right at the end, he was at fullback for those weeks.
Yeah, well, he definitely should be fullback. But the only issue here with Jalen, who obviously gets my 2 points if people didn't understand this, but the only issue with Jalen is that he's not going to be fullback. Yeah, we can't get into a battle like this. It's not going to happen. Keanu's our fullback. Like it is. And that's not a disrespectful thing to Jalen. What are you shaking your head about?
I just feel like we haven't had enough debate around the fullbacks at this club this year. I feel like we need a fourth option to add in there.
You shut your mouth. You mute your microphone immediately. You shut your mouth. But yeah, look, Keanu is our fullback. Obviously, we've already got the AJ situation, and JC's still in the equation there, even though he's really trying to adjust that 6th role. So yeah, look, Jalen would have to. Maybe you could potentially even look at him as a potential 14. 1, 5. Could play in the centres, to be fair. But yeah, it's a hard one. But yeah, anyway, he gets my 2 points.
My 1 point's going to go to Cleese Haas. He had 90 metres, so he did run that footy like we like to see from him. And he had 30 tackles for only 1 miss. Aaron Clark was our only forward to miss 0 tackles. But I think the key difference is Haas made more tackles than him, and he did put out 63 minutes. So I was really impressed with Haas. 30 tackles for 1 miss is good in any circumstances, let alone when you have 36 points put on you. So Cleese gets my 1 point. Who is going to get yours?
I give Bowie Firma. I think Bowie, remember 253 metres. You remember 253 metres? Madman. Big Bowie Firma. Fantastic. And 118 of those were post-contact. 253 metres, 118 post-contact is incredible. Had a line break assist and also a try assist in this game with the 3 tackle breaks, 14 tackles for just the 2 missed. And, people keep going, oh, Bowie's not a centre. Well, he's performing like one right now. I'm sorry. But, yes, there was an error that was bad, and I understand that. But also, he ran for 253 metres and only missed a couple of tackles. So attacking-wise and defensively, for the most part, was great. Again, just that error. But, yeah, that's really the only thing that you can kind of look at there. I think people were so focused on that one error that they forgot they had a really good game.
No, that's fair. And I think as well for like some back rowers, you look at them as locks or props as their secondary position. For Bo, I don't think his secondary position would ever be prop because he does have that agility to his game. But what I also love is when he plays centers, he still has those early hit-ups like he is a back rower, and I think that helps our sets. In the same way like how wingers have early hit-ups when Sammy plays in the centers, he comes in for the early work. And I just think that side of football is really underappreciated. Yes, the tries are awesome, and that's the funnest part, but the start to sets is really where it all comes from, and Bo does that as good as anyone for us, so brilliant by him. Alrighty, that's all our recap stuff, mate. Let's leave that in the past and look forward to previewing both games this week. We start with the NRLW, where we take on the Eels at Eric Tweeddale Stadium in Sydney. That is on Sunday at 1:45 p.m. I will kick us off with my preview here, mate. First of all, the Eels are missing some key players this week, most notably Kennedy Charrington, who was out for the rest of the season. And they are coming off a 42-14 loss to the Dragons, who just sacked their coach. So I think
and
that
was
does
second last.
And was second last. The week before, they lost to the Newcastle Knights 36 points to 16. So whilst the Eels did start this season in unexpected form, I think they have kind of suddenly crashed back to reality in that past fortnight now. I will say this, and I'm genuinely serious with this. If we can't win this game, unfortunately, I will write off our NRLW season premiership hopes. This is a game where we must win. It is as simple as that. Now, they do lead this competition in tackle breaks, so defense must be on point. Realistically, we were great last week on defense. We need to be at that same standard again, if not better. And I think when we're attacking in this game, can we please take a little bit of risk? But let's be smart about it. Now, let's do it in their end when we're attacking their line, not coming out of our own end and putting ourselves under pressure and allowing these repeat sets to stack up like we did against the Sharks. Because I think the Eels are viewed as an attacking team in this competition. They do lead the league in tackle breaks, so fair enough. But the stats reveal they've actually scored one more try than us. In terms of defense, We both miss 29 per game, Eels and Titans, but they do lead the league in 77 ineffective tackles. Ineffective tackles are defined as ones where an offload was given or markers were not square. So that's why I'm harping on guys about us needing to take chances, but take it in their end. Because if we can turn up and defend, and when we take our chances in their end, we know they make the most ineffective tackles of either side, it gives us opportunities for Brittany Brayley-Nardi to scoot, or Lauren Brown to get early ball out to our dynamic centres, or maybe go the dummy and run ourselves. We give ourselves those options, and we can really play through the momentum. If we get that right, and we pick when we take our risks and try some attacking flair, I think we win, and we win big. If we don't, and we play similar to how we played against the Sharks, I still think we win, but we'll just scrape home. We'll only win by 2 or 4. But I want to see us really rack up a score here, mate, and get that 4 and against looking good again, mate. How do you break this one down for us? And ultimately, are you tipping us to win?
I'm just going to straight up say that I'm tipping us to win. I 100% believe that we're going to win this game. And if we don't win this game, I will say that our season is over. And I think all the girls know this too. I was even speaking to them about this after the game. Our season is over. It's not mathematically over, but it's over if we lose this game, because I'll go through our ladder now. So the Titans, we actually went up a spot this weekend, by the way. So we lost by 16. We went from 6th to 5th because the Eels got pumped so badly. So this right now, whoever wins, this is a do or die for both these teams. The Eels must win. The Titans must win. Now, I will be at this game too, because we play the men's game, play in Penrith on Saturday, and then we play in Parramatta on the Sunday. So I will be here, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be good. But yeah, look, we have to win this, and we do have the better team. It's just as simple as that. No one can tell me their center's better. No one can tell me their wingers better. No one can tell. There's a good argument between Abby Church and Evania Politi. Abby Church has been having a really good season, to be fair. No one can tell me that our halves shouldn't be getting the job done. No one should be telling me that the front rowers, even though Elsie Albert is fantastic, our front rowers are the best in business. The hookers are a bit of a wash there in regards to very similar. The back rowers, I believe 100% we should be winning that battle. And the 13 don't even talk to me whatsoever. I say this every week. They talk to me. It's just not going to happen. And it's obviously us there. And the interchange, I personally believe that they've lost out a significant amount in regards to Kennedy Charrington not being there. And look, I think that overall this Eels team is right for the picking, and in a time that we desperately need it. Because if you go back to last year, we'd lost the Roosters and we'd lost the Knights in consecutive weeks, or Knights and the Roosters in consecutive weeks. We thought, okay, our season's kind of going down the drain. And then we started whooping teams, and one of those teams was this Eels team. So I feel like this will get us back on track. To put it into perspective here, guys, whoever wins this game will obviously go to 8 points, which will be equal with the Roosters, the Knights, and the Broncos. Sharks are a little bit out of the equation right now. But the benefit right now, and this is a beautiful benefit, all 4 of those teams play each other this week. All 4 of the top 4 will be playing each other. The Roosters play the Sharks, and the Knights play the Broncos. So realistically, I think the Sharks are too far ahead of us. So I think that I want the Sharks to win that game. Because that means the Roosters will be equal on points with us. And then it doesn't matter whether it's the Knights or the Broncos who win. I'd probably actually say I would hope the Broncos win that game, funnily enough, because then the Knights, they're down. I know they can try and bounce back next week against us, but I think that it'd be really good to kind of have their mentality a little bit down in the dumps whilst we get a really good motivating win against the Eels, and then we play them at home in the Knights next week. So for me, I think our most beneficial results this week, obviously we beat the Eels by 13+. We're going to minus 13 points differential. We need to fix that points differential. But I think that also the Sharks to beat the Roosters, 13+ would be fantastic. They're plus 44 right now. We need them to go down a bit. And then also, for me, the Broncos, their points differential is too far out of the equation. So them to beat the Knights, and then we can beat them next week. So I'm going to take the Titans here by 13+. Need the girls to be able to do it. I think we've got the better team, and we'll put ourselves in a position to make the top 4 after we beat the Knights next week.
Completely agree with you. I'm going to go 13+ as well. I think the only danger factor here is that it is backs to the wall stuff for the Eels. They have plummeted down to 6th. They're coming off huge back-to-back losses. But I just think our class will be too much for them to overcome, particularly with their injury to Kennedy Charrington. Most of all, she's been their best forward this year. So both of us are going NRLW side by 13+. Over to the men's side of things, mate. We take on the Panthers at 7:35 p.m. at Bluebet Stadium for our final game of the year this Saturday. Woo! I will let you break this one down first, mate, because it should be a really fun one for you to do so.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, mate. I'm excited for this one. Guys, don't get your hopes up. You just don't get your hopes up. I will be there. I'm really looking forward to this because it means that we can relax. I don't have to travel anymore. Like I'll be traveling, but just don't have to rely upon a result of something that I can't impact for my mental health for the week, for the next 5 or 6 months or so. Look, obviously I miss it eventually after about maybe beginning of November or halfway through October. You're like, oh man, I wish Rugby League was on. But for the time being, it's about, I'm looking forward to the off season, which pretty much I think everybody here is. You guys, myself, everybody. Look, I think that don't go into this game with too much high hopes, guys. The Panthers, this is their last ever regular season home game at this stadium before it gets completely demolished. And they'll be playing at a CommBank for the next couple of years. They are still playing for a top 2 spot. They need to win to get the home final because even if the Roosters were to lose to the Rabbitohs on the Friday night game, the Sharks still play, I think, Manly on the Sunday. So that means that either way, the Panthers would need to win this game, regardless of that one, because they've obviously got that game afterwards that they would need to account for. We're bottom 4, lads. We're debuting Arama Howe. We've got Counter Kinney coming back in, which I'm excited to see. Obviously, we lose Dave. We've not got Phil Samu. We've not got AJ Brimo. This Panthers team is going to win, unfortunately. I will be there. It's going to be a good time to be a part of. But with that being said, I just can't see a world that we win. I hope that they prove me wrong. And I hope that I'm celebrating there with all of you guys at Penrith Park, whatever their stadium's called now, because it's stupid. But I just don't see a world that it happens personally. So Titans 13+.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest. I think the Panthers are a little overrated. I don't think there's too much to take out of winning 3 comps in a row. I don't think there's too much to take out of them playing for second spot to ensure that they get a home final. No, look, guys, honestly, here's my thoughts. When I recapped our loss to the Knights, I said it kind of looks like we've clocked off a little bit and that round 22 was our grand final against the Broncos. We haven't had that same attitude since. What's changed this week to make me change my mind on that? Realistically, nothing. Since we beat the Broncos, we have lost by an average margin of 27 points per game since. And we're going up against the Panthers, who we know can attack. And we know they're the 3-bye premiership winners for a reason. Now, that includes the Sharks, Dragons, Roosters, and Knights. So the Dragons and Knights score less points than the Panthers, and the Sharks and Roosters score more. Given the circumstances, I actually think we'll probably lose by a similar margin. And I'm really sorry to say that. That's probably the roughest prediction I've ever made on this podcast. But I won't be shocked at all if we lose by 20+ in this game. If you break down the Panthers' form versus our form, no matter whether you look at it past 1 game, 5 games, 1 season, 3 seasons, it doesn't matter. They have us in every single aspect of rugby league. Since 2013, we have only beat the Panthers 3 times from a possible 17. So in 11 years, we've beat them 3 times. Only one of those wins came at Panthers Park. Like it's not good. This is, as you said, their final regular season of all time. So not only will they want to send it off in the regular season in front of an almost sold-out crowd with a bang, they want to make sure they're back here next week taking on a Roosters side that is licking their wounds, so to say. I expect Panthers to send this off with a bang, mate. I love rugby league. I watch every game of rugby league. And in my amateur opinion, I can't see a world where we compete. I really can't. So I think Panthers put us to the...
Do you know where you're wrong, mate? Do you know where you're wrong, mate?
I'm an amateur. I'm a professional.
No, you definitely are an amateur and you definitely are a muppet. But where you're wrong is that I remember a game from a few years ago that no one gave us any, chance to win. It was a meaningless game. We had no reason to win it whatsoever. Do you remember what game I'm talking about?
2013 against the Roosters?
No, mate. 2022 against the Warriors. We went over to New Zealand and Tanner Boyd does not miss.
No, that was an awesome field goal. What happened?
He's the 18th man. Go on. What are you saying?
Didn't we get a huge win over the Roosters back in like 2013 in the final round or something like that, where we were like double-digit underdogs, like literally $10 plus?
Well, that was the year that they won the grand final. So I would assume I'll quickly go have a look here, but I just want to quickly throw this little bad boy out here. We won 30-22 over the. Oh no, this was the bad. Wow, how dare you remind me of this year? How dare you remind me of 2013? Yeah,
No, we did beat them 30-22.
We did, but man, the reason why I'm furious that you've brought that up is that we came ninth that year. The game after was against the Storm. We needed to win, and we lost by a point in extra time. I think Cooper Cronk kicked the field goal. 87th minute, 7 minutes deep into it. You are a dog. I'll tell you a fun story. I'll tell you a fun story about that. So I was watching that at home. I wasn't in Melbourne. I was like, I was in Gold Coast, and when they kicked that field goal, I was so heartbroken. The couch, I picked the couch up and I threw the couch across the room. I threw it, man. I just threw it across. Like that was something. Because that was heartbreaking to lose like that. So thank you for reminding me of that, you man.
Well, forget that week because the week before was bloody awesome. We did win in that game where I can.
Actually, he's annoyed me so much. I'm removing him from the screen.
I don't know if I can still be hurt at least, but no one expected us to win that game. We won. It was 11 years ago. Can we read into it too? We can. That was 11 years ago, and that was at the Roosters' home stadium, and we've only beaten the Panthers at their home stadium once in the past 11 years. The stars just aligned.
But do you want to know the difference here? And I know, thank you for your positivity, even though you just reminded us of an awful game. But do you want to know the difference here? Is that Roosters game actually meant something because we were playing for the top 8 at the point. This game, we don't have anything to play for. So the Warriors game from New Zealand makes a lot more sense with Tanner Boyd not missing the field goal. So I'm thinking, I think Tanner's 18th man right now, isn't he? I think he is. No, 18th man is Josiah Pahulu, and we've got Tanner Boyd as the 19th. But we could see Tan going to the 18th still. We don't know. I'm thinking something happens. Tan comes on. He kicks the field goal from 60 out. That's what I'm feeling.
I'm feeling Panthers 20 plus, to be absolutely honest with you. I think we end this crazy discussion because we don't want to give anyone any false hope, mate. It's going to be a tough game regardless of what happens. But
Panthers 13 plus.
Hopefully. And you know it's dangerous.
If anyone thinks that we're serious and we say that, you need help. I'm sorry, but you need help. Yeah. But I will be there. You can't tell us that we're not passionate, even though this guy's not coming because he's not passionate enough.
Yeah, sucks when your friends don't organise tickets for you when they said they would.
I have organised you a ticket. You just
I knew he'd bite. I got him there, guys. No, look, in all seriousness, whenever you start a prediction with hopefully in rugby league, it's not looking good. Hopefully we don't embarrass ourselves and put in at least a good account for our final game of the season.
13 plus.
Let's move on to Phone the Frontline. We'll play one this week, mate, because we are fast approaching that hour and 10 mark. This one is from James R.H.
Ring, 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 ring.
Hey, lads. For what's been a pretty tough week, Look, one more week to go. Blaze, I'll be in Penrith with you. I'll be cheering on the boys as hard as it's going to be. But just thank you for all your work, for the podcast and that bit of hope and outside thought that we get. That honestly, really appreciate having it in the community. But up your Titans, and fingers crossed we pull off something pretty crazy next week. Cheers, boys.
James. He's the co-host. You forgot.
No, fair enough. Oh. No, James is right. I'll be honest with you. I think that he was just mentioning me, saying that about me, and then he was talking about both of us. But also, fair enough if he's not, and he is just thanking me because I am the host, and Clarkey is the servant here on this podcast. And thank you for being a part of my podcast, Dane. We really appreciate it.
And to you, James, thank you so much for your thoughtful speak pipe. We love to hear those sort of speak pipes, mate. Really appreciate your enthusiasm and love that you've shown for both co-hosts of this podcast there. Look, I'm heartbroken.
Honestly, though, like it is good of him saying that because it does show that if you guys are still listening to this podcast, it means that you are a part of the through and through nature of this club, which we mentioned before. And when I tear up or when I cry, it's because, I'm thinking about our community, which involves you guys, whether that be, there's so many people that listen to this podcast that I like James there, that do come to many games and are quite emotional, are quite, full on in their support, just like me, just like you, just like everybody. And that's why it is so difficult, being like we kind of are like faces for a fan base that's been pushed to the forefront. It's not necessarily that, it's hard to be at the forefront of the line when we're getting beaten and battered every single week. But it's you guys that are, with us and behind us and alongside us that make it worthwhile and make the fact that, I drove down to Newcastle this week. I drove down and then I stayed there and I'm driving back up and then I'm flying back to Sydney 2 days after. I don't want to do it because guess what? We aren't good right now. And also, fun fact, I flew over to New Zealand when we were 0-6. I flew all the way over there when we were 0-6. But the reason why I do it is not actually because of the club, but I do it because of people like James and people like yourselves who are a part of this community. And I'm assuming that this Muppet here does the exact same thing. So although they don't thank you because you're irrelevant, Clarkey.
Who are you pointing to there?
I'm pointing to old mate right here.
Oh,
I thought you were going to yeah, I got him. Yeah,
you got me. Yeah, you got me. You got me. Now, look,
is that yes? There you go. That is the reason why we do it.
Yeah, mate, love your passion there, and do appreciate you sending that in, James. Because as you touched on, it is a tough time. I don't think people are lining up at the turnstiles to become Titans fans at the moment, but the ones that we do have in our core community are some of the most loyal fans in the sporting world. I'll go as far to say. So we love you all and we absolutely appreciate you. Seems like a good point to end our show for the week, guys. So thank you very much for being with us. We will be back next week to break down our final game against the Panthers. And of course, we will continue our previews for the NRLW. This podcast will continue throughout the entire NRL season, which includes finals. No ifs, maybes, or buts. So from myself again, thank you very much. And over to you, Blaze, to zing it up.
I'll be sticking it up in a second. But yeah, we've got plenty of content. Even after the NRL season finish and the NRLW season finish, we've still got things that there is a lot to break down from this season, to be completely honest with you. It's a season that is mixed with so many positives and so many negatives, probably more negatives than positives, but there has been some real positive glimpses into the future. So I still am confident about next year, and we will talk all about that regardless of whether the boys are playing or whatnot. And I guess last year, what did we do? We reviewed every single player's season. What else did we do?
We did a season review where we broke down particular, like round 1 to 4, where it went well, where it went wrong,
right,
stuff like that. We will be talking about our players in the Pacific Championships and bowls, women and females, of course. Yeah. We'll also bring back Remember the Titans.
Women and females.
Oh, sorry, men.
Women and females.
Women and men. That's when you know you've been recording too long. Both genders we will be reviewing in the Pacific Championships and Bowls. And we'll also bring back Remember the Titans, where we put every single Titans player into a wheel, click spin, and we tell you what we remember about that player, which is always super fun as well. So plenty of content still to come. Don't you worry.
Yeah, you're right. So slap it up, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you are coming to Penrith this week. I'm looking forward to seeing you. It will be a good time regardless of the result. Don't go there with the expectation that we will win, but if we do win, how fun is that going to be? How good is that going to be? Just to get that W, to finish off our year, regardless of the fact you just don't expect it. But if it happens, woo, fire it up. And if it does happen, guess what we're going to be doing?
I'm getting the premiership muscle out. Boom.